It's 12 o'clock. Hello and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we're on Love 99.5 FM. On Facebook live stream on over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Radio Wa in Wa, ATL FM Cape Coast, KTU Radio Koforidua, Radio Max Takrade, Lolonyo FM Hohoi, A1 Radio Dreams FM Bogatanga, Jubilee Radio Keta. You can go digital on Spotify, Facebook, and the myjoyonline.com app. Coming up this afternoon, Corruption Watch latest expose reveals widespread examination malpractices in the 2021 WASI.
We are all working on the welfare of people. If you think you have a sibling, a nephew, or niece who needs help, you can approach your colleague assigned to that room to assist them. All of us here have the right to assist someone.
Ranking member of the Education Committee of Parliament says the exams body WAEC, Education Ministry and the police are all complicit.
WAEC definitely cannot be exonerated. And it's, if you know the way the system works, the ministry is involved, WAEC is involved, the Ghana Police Service is involved.
Also this afternoon, 12 persons killed in an accident on the Elmina Commander Junction Road. We'll be live with our reporter on the latest. And Inspector General of Police assures families of a couple who died in strange circumstances of thorough police investigations.
Around 2013, they used to come to our place at Awomaso. And then one day, Ernestina came with Jackson to visit their parents. Next morning, she just called and told them that henceforth, nobody should consider them as part of the family.
With details, as a clinical psychologist urges families to take keener interest in the lives of their relatives after it emerged the deceased woman whose husband preserved her corpse for months with ice packs cut ties with her family.
One day, Ernestina came with Jackson to visit their parents. The next morning, she just called and told them that henceforth, nobody should consider them as part of the family.
Also here on the Midday News, sachet water producers describe recent study by the Ghana Statistical Service suggesting existence of human excreta in a lot of sachet water on the market as false in an attempt to destroy a thriving business.
They to do a one-sided research and throw it into the public domain, and somebody has depended on this water for the past 5 years to tell you that all along you are drinking, they use the word toilet and shit. I mean, it is so sad. I mean, this is a very shoddy work.
We also have sports.
Well, we'll be exploring the prospect of the Ghana Premier League after it landed a sponsor for the first time since 2018.
And later, as we gear up for the second clinic of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair this weekend, we'll tell you about the DBS Industries roof trusses, which are environmentally friendly, fire-resistant, and termite-proof.
We secure it or anchor to the building very well that when there's even a bigger storm, it won't fly off your roof. And in case there's a fire outbreak, your property or your building is protected.
We have all of these stories and more here on the Midday News with me, Manuel Koranteng. Please do stay for details. Many thanks for your company here on Joy 99.7 FM. We are a home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This afternoon, we'll start with some news just coming in. And the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union and the LPG Marketers Association have called off their 3-day-old strike. The workers had embarked on a sit-down strike from Monday to protest, among others, the ban on the construction of LPG stations since 2017. However, government, after a crucial cabinet meeting on Wednesday, lifted the ban on the construction of some gas dispensing facilities. A special arrangement has also been granted to allow the completion of the construction of some LPG stations. Here's Communications Director with the NPA, Mohammed Kudus.
And yesterday at Cabinet, that approval was actually granted. And there was a suspension of the earlier ban that was placed on the filling stations that were ongoing in construction. So what it means is that all of them that were ongoing prior to the suspension can now get back to site after clearing one or two things to which the authority and then they would be able to complete their stations. And I think that was a very big issue that the players within the industry kept knocking at the doors of the MPA and government to get it lifted. And now that I think it has been lifted, it is a giant leap in the process to getting them back at work so that they can continue to supply the product. The implication for the suspension of their work is really dire for all of us, and we're praying that having to have made this giant leap in the struggle, I think that they should be calling off their strike and immediately resume business.
Abdul Mohammed Kudu speaks for the National Petroleum Authority. Well, this afternoon, the LPG Marketers Association has called off its strike. Gabriel Kumi is Vice President of the association. He's joining me live on the phone lines with more. Many thanks for your time here on the Midday News, Mr. Kumi. You must be really satisfied with the interventions by government, the reason you have called off your strike this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Obviously, we are satisfied to a very large extent. And it's based on that satisfaction that we've decided to call off the strike today. I mean, we have certain reservations with the letter, but I think that one we can sit down with NPA and resolve all those differences, so we can now move on.
Mr. Kumi, you say you have some, questions with the statement released by government. What exactly will these concerns be?
Oh, basically, MPA is asking us to resubmit our document, but we felt every document that MPA needs is in their possession. We are just hoping that this will not be used to frustrate our members. We don't want to get to this bridge again. We don't want to go back to this again. So we are just praying and hoping that the strength with which MPA enforced the ban on construction of these stations, they will use that strength, the same strength and the same speed to ensure that we get these outlets ongoing and coming up as soon as possible, because we have lost a lot. If you had borrowed 500,000 in 2017 to build an LPG station, can you calculate the interest? I'm sure you'll be paying about 2-3 million by now. So we have lost so much that we don't want any delay. MPA was very swift, but we believe in the leadership of Mustafa Hamid, and we are sure that the swiftness with which the ban was placed, they will use that same speed and that same swiftness to ensure that our people are granted the necessary permit so we carry on with business.
And Mr. Kumi, you would agree that, just as you mentioned, that quite a number of the structures have been, left abandoned for quite a while now. Is that not the reason you actually need to reapply, so that, some of them might have lost structural integrity and so on?
I did indicate that we have no problem going through that process, but we are just cautioning that process should also not be used as a means of delaying the whole process, because we have lost a lot. We are just appealing to MP that we are going to go by what they said, but we expect that they act expeditiously so that we can have peace. The LPG task.
I'm grateful for your time here. That's Gabriel Kumi. He's Vice President for the LPG Marketers Association, speaking to us about that breaking story. They've just called off their strike, which means that they're going back to work, and you'll get gas at the various service stations. In more news this afternoon, latest investigative piece by Corruption Watch reveals widespread corruption and more practices aimed at assisting candidates to cheat in the 2021 West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination. In the following report, Frederick Esiama tells a story of how some senior high school authorities and some racketeers helped students to cheat in the exam.
It was in the Bono region where our cameras and audio devices captured moments in two schools where some authorities assisted students to cheat in examination halls. Corruption Watch discovered syndicated schemes for cheating before and during the WASI at All for Christ Senior High Technical School and Biadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School. The schools are located about 90 kilometers apart, but they employed similar strategies to assist their candidates to cheat, especially during the conduct of core subjects. All for Christ Senior High Technical School is a popular private second cycle institution located at Kato, a suburb of Brekum, whereas Biadaso No. 1 Senior High Technical School is a state-funded institution located at Biadaso No. 1, a cashew-growing community near Sampa. Regarding pre-WASI arrangements for cheating, our investigations revealed both schools admitted students who should otherwise register as private candidates for a fee. In the case of All for Christ Senior High Technical School, authorities charged the students about 250 Ghana cedis in return for unearned continuous assessment marks in order to process them as school candidates for WASI.
Yes, last year or this year they paid 2,600.
Okay. So would I need to buy uniforms, or it's all part of the 3,000 I should be preparing?
If it becomes possible that you can be registered here, everything is inclusive. The uniform is part of it.
Okay. All right. And please say your name.
My name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Yes, I'm the senior master.
Back at the All for Christ Senior High Technical School, our team established that the authorities in question set up several platforms on social media through which they circulated solutions to examination questions. This enabled invigilators to pass answers to the examination questions to candidates while examinations were in progress. The biggest of these cheating platforms set up by the school for invigilators is a WhatsApp page known as the Integrity Vibes. This page had over 80 participants, including this Corruption Watch investigator. They also used the page to inform invigilators about news and alerts from WAEC and other organizations such as the Africa Education Watch. On Wednesday, September 15, 2021, participants on the page took keen interest in the WAEC update that announced the rescheduling of papers of 2 courses and the listing of 11 schools for close monitoring. Later that day, one participant shared a voice note that discouraged teachers and students from answering questions posed by journalists who come probing into more practices.
As at now, one thing you should know is that the media will start to ask questions. They will come to the schools. This is what you have to do. Never answer any question to any media. Do not conform to them. Do not make yourself available to answer any question. If you are being asked, tell them you have no idea.
Excerpts of the latest investigative piece by Corruption Watch on widespread examination malpractices. Well, Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Apak, believes the West Africa Examination Council, the Education Ministry, and the police are all complicit in this canker.
WAEC has had a tendency to always be defensive when these matters come up. When organizations like Africa Watch, Institute of Educational Studies, and now Corruption Watch, when they come up with their reports and they show the evidence, and sometimes they are even able to give specific details about how this happens, where it happens, those who participate from the onset, from the beginning of, setting the questions, printing the questions, transporting the questions to the various examination centers, the role of the school, the role of the headmaster, the role of the invigilators, the security agencies. WAEC doesn't seem to give it the same level of attention that we will require. When was the last time you heard that somebody or an institution had been sufficiently penalized for engaging or being an accessory to cheating in examinations? Rather, WAEC could turn around to try and create doubt and sometimes even threaten the institutions and individuals and think tanks.
Dr. Clement Apak is Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament. Well, this afternoon, Programs Director with the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Nimo Jr., says the police have shown little interest in prosecuting persons caught in examination malpractices.
It is not only private schools that are doing this. Although the private schools are into the business of bringing in even students that are not within the Form 1, Form 2 system, just register them, get them to pass.
Right.
They are in the business. We believe that when private schools, that for the 2 that were showed in the video, if they are stopped or closed down, it will be a drastic measure that would ensure that other private schools who are also into the same business don't continue perpetuating the act.
Programs Director with the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Nimo Jr. Well, the full documentary is on myjoy9.com and across all the Joy News platforms on social media. Now to our Drive Safe campaign.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
Well, this afternoon, 12 persons have been killed in an accident at Eduaje on the Elmina Commander Junction Road in the central region. According to the police, the 12 persons died when a Toyota Hayes bus collided head-on with a DAF truck. The dead include 5 females and 7 males. Their bodies have been deposited at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital morgue for autopsy. 1 person was injured in the accident. According to eyewitnesses, the DAF trailer that was fully loaded with bags of cement was heading towards Takoradi, whereas the Toyota Hayes bus was heading for Kumasi from Takoradi. Let's get on the phone lines and speak to correspondent Richard Kojonyako, who has been following this story for us all day. Richard, how is the injured person faring now?
Well, so he's responding to treatment according to medical officials. And so I went to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital.
Richard?
Yes.
Hello, Richard.
Hello?
Yes, we lost you for a while now. You could just take it back again.
Yeah, so he is responding to treatment according to medical officials at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. And they are confident that he will pull through.
But let's talk about the dead, victims there. Have their relatives been able to identify them? What is the process with tracing their relatives?
Well, so because the vehicle loaded from the station at Takoradi, when the accident happened, they were informed, and so they came to the Elmina police station. They were directed to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. So they have begun the process to identify the bodies.
Well, have you heard from the police on this?
Well, so the police say that they are on a hunt for the driver of the tipper truck or the articulated truck, and they are also looking for the person who set the fire that made smoke engulf the entire area, causing this particular accident. And so that is what the police are saying. They say that they are still on their investigation.
Many thanks indeed, correspondent Richard Kojonyako, with details on the injured person and the 12 other dead people. We'll bring you more in subsequent bulletins. Away from that now, the Inspector General of Police has assured the family of a couple who died under bizarre circumstances at Makro near Ibuakwa in the Kumasi metropolis of the best of investigations. Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, who spoke to the mother of the late Ernestina Jackson on phone to commiserate with the family, also assured the family of thorough police investigations to get to the bottom of the matter. The assurance comes as police at Ibuakwa look into circumstances that led Samuel Jackson to keep his wife's dead body in their flat for several months. On him interior of our security desk has more.
The body of Samuel Jackson was also discovered by police in the family's bathroom, sitting on the toilet, while their 2 teenage children were also rescued in an unconscious state. The IGP's call comes as the Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP Afo Boachi Yadom, joined by some divisional and district commanders, visited the couple's 2 traumatized children who remain on admission at the Ibuakwa Polyclinic. Until Wednesday, police sources said it has been difficult connecting with families of the deceased. But the family of Mrs. Jackson on Wednesday reached out to the children of the deceased following the airing of the story on Joy News. An emotionally distraught Madam Lydia Boache Benson, mother of Ernestina Jackson, explained how her daughter disowned the family.
Is that how to pay me back? I am distressed. You promised to help the family whilst I was seeing you off at the airport. Is that how you repay me? I single-handedly sponsored your trip abroad.
Frederick Opon Boateng, an in-law of Ernestina, is familiar with happenings in the family.
Around 2013, they used to come to our place at Awomaso. And then one day, Ernestina came with Jackson to visit their parents. Next morning, she just called and told them that henceforth nobody should consider them as part of the family.
Ohiminteria filed that report. We can now listen to clinical psychologist Adolf Ewuku-Bekwin, who says families must take keener interest in their relatives who may have cut ties with them.
There are so many beliefs problems around this time that I think as a people we should be mindful of. What kind of activities were going on in the where they live with their family? People have bizarre beliefs, bordering on some kind of the occultic or some hyper-religiosity. Women can be socialized by their spouses to sever all relationship with their extended family so that they can have absolute control over their spouse.
We'll take a break here on the Midday News. When we return, we have sports, and then sachet water producers describe recent study by the Ghana Statistical Service suggesting existence of human excreta in a lot of sachet water on the market as false in an attempt to destroy a thriving business.
And then to do a one-sided research and throw it into the public domain, and somebody has depended on this water for the past 5 years, to tell you that all along you were drinking, they use the word toilet and shit. I mean, it is so bad. I mean, this is a very shoddy work.
And later, as we gear up for the second clinic of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair this weekend, we'll tell you about the DBS Industries roof trusses, which are environmentally friendly, fire-resistant, and termite-proof.
We secure it or anchor to the building very well that when there's even a bigger storm, it won't fly off your roof. And in case there's a fire outbreak, your property or your building is protected.
Akwaba Magic Ebusia, brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Chiao, Ewo DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Akwaba Magic Ebusia, Eddie Nidia Ghanaian programs mu Baufi, Ebiti said to have and to hold, Enyom Senior Cassia series any talk show, Bemo Account TV set Nichi. Akwaba Magic Ebusia, Ewo DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cedis per and Go TV value to your 25 Ghana cedis per Ebusia Akwaba.
You're welcome back to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Time now for sports, and Razak is here. Razak, what do we have?
Manuel, the Ghana Football Association President Kurt Ekweku believes Bet Power's investment in the Ghana Premier League will boost the value of the franchise. The online sports betting company have invested $6 million spreading over a period of 3 years, which will see Premier League clubs receive $2 million per season.
For us here, we are super excited because what we have been preaching over the last few months is seeing the light of the day. And thank you for your big commitment in investing a minimum of $6 million over 3 years into Ghana football. From this money, we shall see investment in the construction of a new football pitch, an AstroTurf, at the Ghanaman School of Excellence in Pram Pram. And that pitch will be named the Bet Power pitch. Thank you. From the money that you intend to invest, we're going to see high levels of marketing and promotions of the GPL, which will be unprecedented for the first time in our history.
Well, that's President of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Ekweku, speaking there. Manuel, that's all we have for you.
But let's talk about pre-season. I know the teams are gearing up for the new season. Some people are going outside the country. Some people too are doing a future pitch.
Well, yes, Kumasi Asante Kotoko is heading to Turkey, and Karate Folk is in Ghana having their pre-season, but they have a game against Garmanche, the Garmanche Cup against Olympics on Sunday, coming up on Sunday. And today also the playoff to replace Ashanti Gold kickstart at the Crossport Stadium between Liberty Professionals and Ebusian Dwarfs.
Can't wait for details. Razak Munsbah with sports this afternoon. In more news on the Midday News, the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers has described a recent study by the Ghana Statistical Service which found appreciable levels of human excreta in a lot of sachet water on the Ghanaian market as unmeritorious and one that lacks clear motive. The association says the report is a malicious attempt to destroy a thriving industry and one that is targeted at drawing populace attention to the Ghana Statistical Service. In a statement released Wednesday, the association has subsequently rejected a report put out by the service. More on that shortly, but first, Assistant Chief Statistician Dr. Peter Techipeprah says it has become imperative for the supervision of the production line for sachet water to be intensified.
We need to pay attention to those who are into the production of sachet water. We tested a source of water for the household where we realized that certain percentage of water is being contaminated with fecal, or I'll put it, fecal contamination. Fecal contamination simply means we have toilet in our water. As a country, we need to encourage the FDA to embark on thorough monitoring and supervision. They should try their best to test on a regular basis the sources of water in the production of these sachet water.
We can now listen to President of the Sachet Water Association, Magnus Nunu, who says the research was poorly done.
Cluster survey was done way back in 2017. And so one wondered why you waited for 5 years. And then on a very different forum, not related to the topic at all, they tried to release this bombshell. And you see, in your own reportage or report that you put forward, you indicated that, listen, I mean, if you come to the urban population, as much as 72% of the population depend on this product. And then you come there and he, excuse my word, he went further to explain that this is, if you don't know what it is, means shit in water. I mean, how do you do this? This is an irresponsible statement.
President of the Sachet Water Association, Magnus Nunu. Let's do some politics now. And the Deputy Chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bosman Asare, has rebutted claims that the elections management body is not in good terms with the National Democratic Congress. In the run-up to the 2020 general elections, news broke of a spectacle at one of the Inter-Party Advisory Committee meetings at the Electoral Commission's headquarters in Accra, when the chairperson of the EC, John Mensah, and the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esidu Nketiah, reportedly engaged in a brawl. This incident, coupled with the rejection of the 2020 presidential results, has left many wondering if the Electoral Commission will be better positioned to build consensus with all political parties ahead of the next election. However, reacting to the fears, Dr. Bosman Asare told host of the Pulse on Joy News, Blessed Sega, that the EC has no problem with the NDC.
I think at the EC level, we don't have any problem with any political party. We don't have any problem with the NDC. Right. You know, I think you heard the NDC boycotted IPAC after the 2020 elections. Yeah. All the letters to the inviting the parties to IPAC, NDC is always invited.
Oh, you keep inviting them?
Oh, we keep inviting them. The last one I checked on the email list, okay. Mr. Johnson Asiedu received the email. We send letters, we invite. Right. So they have boycott. If they are saying they have boycott, but they received the letters.
Deputy Commissioner for the EC, Dr. Eric Bosman Asare there. And before we go, let's talk about owning and building your home. Wooden trusses are mostly used in the housing construction industry to support a roof. But one of Ghana's top roofing companies, DBS Industries, is advocating the use of its steel trusses, which are sustainable replacement for wood. Speaking to us ahead of the second clinic of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair scheduled for this weekend at the West Hills Mall, Sales and Marketing Manager of DBS Industries, James Kweusenu, touted the steel trusses as environmentally friendly, fire-resistant and termite-proof.
So trusses, you know, nowadays getting wood has been very difficult, and the process that you go through before you even get a wood has to do with the forestry. So we advise customers just to come to DBS so that we can give them that peace of mind by doing trusses for them. Okay. The reason is a very lightweight material which doesn't exert much weight on your building. Okay. When talking of light, some will ask, but since it's a light material, then it means a wind or a storm can blow it off. It is well engineered, and we secure it or anchor to the building very well that when there's even a bigger storm, it won't fly off your roof.
Okay.
And in case there's a fire outbreak, your property or your building is protected.
Sales and Marketing Manager of DBS Industries, James Kwosenu, giving you some options for your roofing and also ending the news at midday here on Joy 99.7 FM. For more on this roofing issue, you want to be at the West Hills Mall from Friday to Sunday for the second clinic of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Our top story this hour: Corruption Watch latest expose reveals widespread examination malpractices in the 2021 Wasiri. Brought you details. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Story is making headway there. Ghana will not default in Eurobond repayment. According to report, Ghana could secure funding from IMF in 8 months' time. Also, that report, and GRA engaging religious leaders to encourage members to honor tax obligations. My name is Manuel Koranteng. Many thanks for your company. After this break, we have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil. Please to stay.
Isn't life wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled? Hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That happy moment. Listen